Welcome to +1, the monthly series where I take a look at the free PlayStation Plus games and help you decide if they're right for you. After all, the games may be free, but your time is valuable. Rounding out 2019, December's free games are Titanfall 2 and Monster Energy Supercross. Okay, sure, let's see how that one goes. Are either of these games a good use of your time and hard drive space? Let's find out today, starting with Titanfall 2. Yes, Titanfall 2 is worth your time, absolutely. In fact, Titanfall 2 is one of the best first-person shooters ever made. It's really good, and let me explain why. For those of you unaware, Titanfall 2 is made by Respawn Entertainment, the same team that's more recently made Apex Legends and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. In fact, Apex is actually set in the same universe as Titanfall, so this will feel pretty familiar to those of you that have played the Battle Royale game first. The team at Respawn is partly made up of pretty much the entire staff that worked at Infinity Ward for Call of Duty Modern Warfare's 1 and 2, also known as the shooters that revolutionized the entire gaming industry. In short, these folks really know how to make an FPS. In Titanfall, momentum is everything, allowing players to double jump, wall run to build speed, bounce back and forth between walls, use a grappling hook if they so choose, and much more, all while firing at enemies with an arsenal of incredibly satisfying weapons. This all sounds overbearing at first, I know, but don't worry, because while Titanfall has a high skill ceiling, it's also got an incredible game feel that's simple to grasp and easy to build upon. The maps are designed fantastically to facilitate wall running just about everywhere. The movement is fluid and precise. I can't count the number of times that I've nailed a perfect dismount off of a wall and right through an open window. For newer or less experienced players, the game even includes AI-controlled enemies as fodder. Maybe you can't take down the player-controlled pilots on the enemy team just yet, but fighting these troops will earn you a slightly lower number of points towards the final score, towards your tactical boost ability, and toward the titular titans. When that score meter on the bottom left of your HUD hits 100%, it's time for Titanfall. Pressing down on the D-pad lets you call in your giant autonomous robotic mech to wreak havoc across the battlefield. From here you can let the Titan do its own thing if you'd like, or you can jump into the cockpit and take control, granting you massive new weapons, abilities, and naturally a ton of extra armor. Each class of Titan has its own distinct skills. One has a massive sniper rifle, another a Gatling gun. One has a temporary shield that can absorb and reflect bullet fire, another can just set you on fire. In the right hands, these monsters are easily enough to completely alter the course of battle. This is the second part of what makes Titanfall feel so damn good to play. Those maps I was just gushing about a moment ago are designed not only for the pilots and the wall running and the double jumps and the momentum-based gameplay, but also for these massive mechs to duke it out in wider, more open areas. If you're on foot and you see a Titan, it's probably time to run, because these things will one-shot you with just about everything in their arsenal, including just stepping on you. On most parts of most maps, there's always a little corner that you can duck into, a quick escape route, or a building too small for the Titans to enter. Even if you can't call down your Titan just yet to even the odds, your pilot's speed is the Titan's Achilles heel, as you can jolt around them faster than they can turn, firing shots at them with your dedicated anti-Titan weapon, or you can jump onto their backs and take out their critical systems one by one. Titans can, in turn, fire off an anti-pilot measure such as electrified smoke to keep the pilots off their backs. It's this fantastically balanced back and forth between Titans and pilots that makes Titanfall so compelling game after game. I can't begin to gush about how satisfying it is to rip apart a Titan as a pilot, or to go on a Titan killing spree with your own mech. In the several hours I've played online this week alone, I've had so many matches where victory was decided by a single point or two. I've had down-to-the-wire comebacks in this game's search and destroy equivalent. I don't find myself getting annoyed by defeat as much as I am congratulating the other side on a hard-fought match. It's that good. And at the end of the game in some modes, there's a little minigame to tie each match together. The losing side will try to flee to the dropship to fight another day, while the victors will attempt to destroy that ship or wipe out the enemy team. It means nothing in the grand scheme of things, but it's an amazing way to wind down between matches. Ironically, given its name, it's the small things with Titanfall that make it such a great time. And then there's the campaign, which is also just fantastic, even if the game gives me little reason to care about the story itself. Not that it really matters, but Titanfall 1 had no campaign whatsoever, so don't worry about missing anything here. In fact, I'd suggest playing the campaign at least part of the way through before jumping into matchmaking. It acts as a great tutorial and lets you get used to the mechanics at a steady, comfortable tick. I don't think it's one of the best shooter campaigns of all time or anything, but it certainly has some of my favorite levels in a shooter campaign. Time and again, this game finds a way to reincorporate its mechanics in a novel way, and every time I love it. I don't think I need to say it out loud by now, but if it wasn't clear already, give Titanfall 2 a +1 to your collection. With the +1 series, I usually aim to complete at least 10% of the free games or an hour of gameplay before writing my reviews out, whichever of the two is longer. With Titanfall 2, I chose to play more than half of the campaign, mostly in one sitting. And I chose to put hours upon hours into the multiplayer because it's that damn good of a game. Unless you absolutely hate FPS games, there's something here for just about everybody, and you'll find yourself zipping across the maps in no time at all. Really, the only complaints I have are with the rather unwieldy multiplayer menus. I love that each weapon, faction, and titan has its own progression system on top of your character progression, but there's a lot going on at first. It's arguably easier to get used to the gameplay's learning curve than it is the menu's learning curve, and that is never a good thing. Now be warned, Titanfall 2 will take up about 55 gigs of your hard drive space, but it's more than worth that in my book, especially for those of you that like shooter games. For those of you trophy hunters out there, the platinum isn't actually all that bad here. There are only a few very basic online trophies, the rest are tied to beating the campaign on the hardest difficulty, getting all the collectible hidden helmets, your usual stuff. Respawn even knew how to limit online trophies. I mean, come on, what can't this team do? For those of you watching in 2020 and beyond, you can regularly find Titanfall 2 for $5 to $10, and it's more than worth that. Hopefully being on PS Plus can give this game a boost in player count for just a little bit longer, just to hold us over till Titanfall 3. Now, in the spirit of talking about the shameless Monster Energy drink brand deal video game, I think it's time for some promotion of my own, as this video is brought to you by the Pixel Empire. With gift-giving season coming up soon, the Pixel Empire is the perfect place for all of your gaming and entertainment merchandise needs. From awesome posters and wall art, such as these beautiful minimalist Star Wars designs that'll go perfectly with a copy of Respawn's newest game, to shirts, hoodies, and more, you can find something for just about anybody here. In fact, you can even get the first ever The Golden Bolt shirts there. You know you want them. And if you use the code BOLT15 at checkout, you can get 15% off your entire order. So if you're looking for great gifts this season, look no further than the Pixel Empire, where pop culture and design unite. Next up is Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game, which I can only assume is free to help promote the upcoming release of Monster Energy Supercross 3. Why did they release the first one and not 2? Your guess is as good as mine, but they probably should have gone with 2. Monster Supercross is a bad video game. You'll know it's bad immediately from the hilariously bad intro with clip art fireworks, the horrible loading screens, the atrocious frame rate, the fact that textures load late during cutscenes leading to some horrible pop-in, or even the fact that the very first tutorial level of the game puts you in the shoes of a Red Bull sponsored racer, which, the name on the box is Monster Energy, guys, come on! The game attempts to be a realistic, entertaining conversion of the Supercross sport, but it ends up being neither realistic nor entertaining. At the very first turn in every single race, the frame rate will come to a near-complete halt as dozens of bikes and character models struggle in a tight area. The physics are just atrocious. Your character will regularly get stuck on things, usually the guards that line the tracks, but sometimes just the dirt itself for some reason. You're never explained the controls, not even in the Red Bull tutorial. There are many turns where the game accused me of going out of bounds, usually when I was in the lead, and it teleported me back 50 feet so I could redo the exact same turn the exact same way that I'd already done correctly, but now I'm in 12th place. Thank you, game! Even when you're miles ahead in first place with nobody near you, the game still struggles to hit 60 frames per second, which is exactly why the second game cut everything back to 30. There's no excuse for a game that runs this poorly and looks this ugly to have loading screens that take up half a minute or more of your life, but here we are. There's also no excuse for the game to put you in an inescapable loading screen when you try to find a multiplayer lobby or join a match. Once you start searching, you're literally not allowed to stop until the game tells you there's a connection error. The best looking thing in this game, I'm not kidding, I'm not exaggerating, is the dirt. They got the dirt right. That's it, so that's a plus, I guess. There's nothing redeemable about Monster Supercross. Like, there's a track editor, I guess, but that also has some loading issues, and it's a bit on the unwieldy side like everything else in the game. I appreciate that an underrepresented sport like Supercross has a video game, but if this is the best that we can bring to the table, it would genuinely be better if there were no game at all. There's simply no reason to download this game, free or otherwise. It's not worth the space on your hard drive, it's not worth the time it would take to download, it's not even worth the breath that I'm wasting by talking about it. Had this been the second game that was free, maybe it would be a different story, but I don't know. So that's it for December 2019's free games, and that's a wrap on PLUSone for the year. But I've still got a few more videos that'll be out in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for those. As always, thank you very much for watching and subscribing, and until next time, stay golden.